Hello, future physical science students. This video is just to get you acquainted with the different equations we're going to use throughout the year. You don't need to memorize them. You don't need to understand what they mean. Just get familiar with them so that when you see them, we'll be able to plug in numbers really quickly and you'll understand them faster. The first one is for speed, velocity. Velocity equals distance divided by time, distance over time. The second one is acceleration. Acceleration equals the final velocity minus the initial velocity and then divided by time. For this one, distance is going to equal 1/2 times acceleration times time squared. This one is force equals mass times acceleration. This one is kinetic energy equals 1/2 times mass times velocity squared. This one is work. The amount of work equals the force times the distance. And this one is potential energy. So you have mass times gravity times height. The gravity is the gravity on Earth. That's 9.8 meters per second squared. The next one is speed. So speed is going to be velocity, and velocity equals wavelength times the frequency. And this little guy is lambda, and that is your wavelength. The next one is velocity, but it's the speed of sound in air. So you would use this for like lightning. You'd see it, and then you'd hear it later. So 331.5 plus 0.6 times the temperature, and it has to be in Celsius for this to work, and that's meters per second. The next one is a chemistry unit, so it's just a mole, and that's 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms. It's just a whole bunch of atoms, and they put this amount together, and it's called a mole. So it would be like 2 moles of this plus 1 mole of this equals 2 moles of this. The next one is acceleration due to gravity, which we talked about before, 9.8 meters per second squared. The 32 feet per second squared is just the American units, but we're going to do the metric units, and so this is the one I want you to memorize. The next one is the Newton. So 1 Newton equals 1 kilogram times meters per second squared. This basically means it's the force required to move a 1 kilogram object 1 meter per second every second. So like a pineapple is about a kilogram, a 1 kilogram object, moving that 1 meter per second every second. We have speed is meters per second, and that's a constant speed. If you're accelerating, that's increasing speed, and that's meters per second, so that's meters per second squared. Acceleration. E equals mc squared. I'm sure you've heard of this. So this is energy, and this is mass, and then the c squared is the speed of light squared. We have power equals work divided by time, and then we have work equals force times distance. Good job. Just watch this as many times as you want to get familiar with these.